Okay, so to do the metric conversions formula E, you start out with conversions up here. You go from centa to deca. Remember, DA is deca. It's the only prefix that has a D and an A. So you're going from centa to deca. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 steps this way. So you take this decimal point, you can move it twice around the 5 and the 4, but you have to add a 0. So it's going to be 0.0453. The next one, you're going from centa to milli. So centa to milli is 1 step that way. So you're going to move this decimal point around the 2. So you get 10982. Put your comma in, it goes there. If you're going to use commas, just make sure you can tell a comma from a decimal point. Liters to kilo. 1, 2, 3. 3 steps this way. So I'm going to take this invisible decimal point that's right there and move it around all 3. 0.563. Number 4, deca, again, DA, to milli. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 steps that direction. If I take my decimal point around 4 times, I get 65. Now, a lot of you are putting the zeros in front of it. If you said you were 65 years old, you wouldn't put 0065. You wouldn't even put 65 decimal point. So 65 is plenty. The next one, it's asking. Jamie measured the distance from the 3rd floor to the ground in centimeters. It was 934.5 centimeters. He thought it would be easier to handle the numbers in meters. So you're going from centa to meters. Centa to meters, that's 1, 2. That's 2 steps in that direction. So I'm going to take that decimal point, move it to 9.345. All right, the next part is the formulas. Let's not forget to rewrite the formulas with the numbers and units in it. So we have LW, and this actually should be an A right there because it's area. Anyway, 34.68 centimeters times W, 34.68 centimeters. The reason it's the same is it's a square, which means all the sides of a square are the same length. You do the math on that, and you get 1,202.7024. To round that, you have 2 decimal places on this measurement, 2 decimal places on this measurement. So the least number of decimal digits in my measurements is 2, so my answer needs 2. The 0 is in the 2nd decimal place. The 2 makes the 0 stay the same, so my final number answer is 1202.70. I took centimeters times centimeters, and I get centimeters squared. Okay, so the number 7, move back over here. Number 7, let me move this up a little bit. Maybe I get a little bit more of it in the picture. Okay. If you are moving a barrel of oil, how much power will it take to move it if it has a mass of 122.7 kilograms and you are moving at 120.5 meters and 280.0 seconds? That's the other boo-boo on this paper. It left seconds off. Okay, so MD divided by T. M is mass. It gives you the mass of 122.7 kilograms. Notice I'm keeping the units on. Times distance. The distance is 120.5 meters. Divided by T, which is 280.0 seconds. Okay, so you're going to take 122.7 times 120.5 divided by 280. And my calculator gets an answer of 52.804821. I have 3 measurements in here. 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place. So my answer needs 1 decimal place. This 8 is in the 1st decimal place. You look to the right, the 0 makes the 8 stay the same. So your final answer should be 52.8. You've got kilograms, meters, and seconds. They're all different, so you can't get rid of any of them. Kilograms is on top, so I put kilograms on top. Meters is on top, so I put meters on top. Seconds is on bottom, so I put seconds on bottom. Number 8. Let me fold this so I can move it up a little better. Okay. Okay, so you are on an airplane to Andreat, Utah. The trip is 2,098 kilometers. You make the flight in 3.7 hours. What's the average speed if distance divided by time? So distance is obviously 2,098 kilometers. The formula says fraction, so we make it a fraction. And the time is 3.7 hours. So we take 2,098 divided by 3.7, and my calculator gives me 567.02702. We need to round that to significant figures, significant digits, sigfigs. This number has 0 decimal places. This number has 1 decimal place. They're both measurements, so they both count. The least number of decimal digits is 0, so my answer needs 0. So this 7 is where I'm rounding to. You look to the right, that number's a 0, so the 7 stays the same. So my final answer is 567. I've got kilometers on top, hours on bottom. They're not the same. I can't cancel them, so I have to keep kilometers on top, hours on the bottom, kilometers per hour. If it helps in this problem, it literally sets the units up for you. You accidentally drop your glasses over the side of a cruise ship, and it seems like we've done this a lot. It falls for 27.8 seconds. How far did it fall if gravity times time? So gravity is 9.8 meters per second times time, 27.8 seconds. So I'm going to take 9.8 times 27.8, and I get 272.44. This number has 1 decimal place. This number has 1 decimal place. The least number of decimal places is 1, so I'm going to round to 1. That 4 is in the first decimal place. You look to the right. The 4 makes this 4 stay the same, so my final answer is 272.4. I have meters on top. I have seconds on bottom. I have a unit here that's not a fraction, so we pretend it's on top. 2 of these are alike, seconds and seconds. One's on the bottom, one's on the top. They're totally opposite, so I can get rid of them, and I'm left with meters. Okay, before we finish the last one, I want to point out that I'm rewriting the formula with the numbers and units in it. I'm not leaving the units off. I'm not leaving off any point zeros or anything like that. That's 1 point. I'm rounding my answer to the correct amount of sigfigs. That's another point, and I'm putting a unit answer on. That's your 3rd point. All right, the last one. We've still got the same problem that it gives us radius, but it wants diameter. And again, remember that in a circle, your radius is the center to the outside. Your diameter is all the way across. So I should be able to take my radius and times it by 2 to get the diameter. So my formula says pi diameter squared. Pi is 3.14 times that diameter, which is this times 2. So 10.5 times 2 is 21.0. And yes, it needs the 0.0 because we had 1 decimal place. So when you do that math, it'd be centimeters, 21.0 centimeters divided by 4 times 21.77 centimeters. I put that in my calculator, and my answer is 15.901929. This is not a measurement, so it doesn't count. This is not a measurement, so it doesn't count. These 3 are measurements. I've got 2 decimal places. I've got 1 decimal place. I've got 1 decimal place. So the least number of decimal places is 1, so I round my answer to this 9. That 0 makes the 9 stay the same, so my final number answer is 15.9. And I took centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, so it's centimeters cubed. Okay, so that's how we do the review conversion and formulas E.